matches against North Carolina FC and Flower City Union. Loudoun United now take on MLS opposition in a competitive match for the first time as they play host at Segra Field to Columbus Crew. Welcome into commentary of this one, Chris Whittingham alongside the former U.S. Women's National Teamer Casey White. And here, Casey, have a look at the way these two sides enter this competition.
Well, I think it's a really exciting matchup for these two head coaches. Loudoun United in their first U.S. Open Cup appearance this year, but then you look on the other side, U.S. Open Cup champions in 2002. Very interesting to see how these two will match up on the field today. Remarkable
tradition for Columbus Crew to get into our players to watch. Zach Ryan is off to a very good run of scoring form at the start of this USL season.
He not only creates chances for himself, but he's so industrious up top. He also presses from the front, so he really sets the tone as well on the defensive side, as well as bringing all of that offensive firepower.
And Zach Ryan scored 2 goals in the Cup and also 5 goals in the league. For Columbus Crew, we're highlighting Mo Farsi, who scored a goal from that right wing back position in the last Open Cup match against Indy 11.
And it was a late one, coming in the 83rd minute, able to put them over the top of Indy 11 by the 1-0 score. So one to watch here today.
And Mo Farsi will play down that right side to get into the starting lineups for both of these sides. For Columbus Crew, 8 changes from the team that played last time out. A league match against Inter Miami 9 days ago. Gustavo Vallecilla, Mo Farsi, and Yaya Boa, the only players that remain. Meanwhile, for Loudon, just the 2 changes from the team that lost at the weekend at home to Indy 11. Husu Landry and Parnos Armanakis coming in for Aiden Rocha and Abdul Zane. And now, for Ryan Martin, a no doubt big occasion in charge of this Loudoun United side. He's had to do it other people's way his first few years in charge. Wayne Rooney and Chad Ashton and Hernan Losada, but now gets to plot his own course and gets to do so against a club with whom he has a lot of connections. He went to Columbus Crew's first ever match in 1996 against DC United as a fan, and now coaches against MLS opposition in the Open Cup for the first time against his boyhood club.
How fun is that? You know, there's so many parallels, there's so many people you know in the game, but also they're having such a great season in the USL Championship, so now being able to take that next step against bigger competition has to be fun for him.
Our matchday referee is Luis Diego Arroyo. What is a big night for Loudoun United, hosting MLS competition for the first time in official competition. They take on a Columbus Crew side that are off to a decent start in the Major League Soccer season and are, of course, an MLS original. As we are underway, this 4th round tie begins. Loudoun United looking for the upset over Columbus Crew of Major League Soccer. Straight away a ball down the line in towards Husu Landry. Tries to get forward for Loudoun United, who, as we mentioned, coming in off a 2-1 home defeat against Indy 11 last time out. Khalil El Medkar opened the scoring, but Sebastian Guenzati and a late winner from Juan Tejada giving Indy 11 all 3 points. Indy 11 also the side that Columbus Crew knocked out of the competition to get to this 4th round. Ryan Martin still smarting a bit from that defeat in the league against Indy 11. Felt like they had a perfectly good goal disallowed as a challenge coming in there from Melda Amundsen. Enough to win it back, and this game a bit chaotic here from the start. Now Ramirez with a chance to get Columbus moving forward. Zé Aparente unable to get there. And recovered here by Loudoun United.
And what was interesting about that game with Loudoun United and Indy 11 was they had so much of the possession, but ended up on the losing side. But Coach Ryan Martin talked about that. He wanted that possession to be something that spurred them on, because he really did like the way they played, but ultimately need to find ways to get results as well.
Columbus, meanwhile, on the subject of possession, very much a side that likes to have a lot of the ball. Under new manager Wilfried Nancy in his first year in charge after arriving from CF Montreal, leading Canadian side to their best ever season a year ago, 2nd in the East, departing and taking over this Columbus team and trying to get them playing with the ball and with possession. Scored plenty of goals so far. The results have been slightly up and down in the early season. There's a throw-in conceded there. Philip Quinton along that back line. Something of a makeshift back 3. Nance does like to play in that back 3 system. Amundsen, who arrived as a wingback replacement for Will Sands, who tore his ACL from NYCFC. Let's start in the left of that 3. Now Columbus will go pressing back towards Hugo Farot, the French goalkeeper, this Loudon team. Sent over everyone, claimed now by Evan Bush, who does have 3 domestic cups to his resume, but all of those in Canada, playing for CF Montreal in the Canadian Championship. Wilfried Nancy also has his previous managing CF Montreal, and said this is a very different proposition managing in the Open Cup. You have to win 5 or 6 matches as opposed to 3 or 4, and the Canadian Championship is a free kick given the way of Columbus. Very different setup in 2023 for Loudoun United, formerly the USL side, linked with DC United, and there is still a connection. Some players coming from DC, but new majority owner has this side as an independent club. Greg Baroni taking over 51% of the club from Jason Levian and the DC United ownership, which allows them to play in this competition.
Well, there's been so many changes to the roster coming into this 2023 season. So not only in setup, but actually in personnel. And that's really allowed them to just try to figure out how they want to move forward. And they've had the results. Not everything has gone their way, but they've been pretty steady throughout the USL Championship in results and in performance.
Mid-table in the Eastern Conference, currently sat 7th. So many new players coming into this team, some of whom we'll tell you about over the course of this broadcast. Here's Gasu Samake, who is one of the players linked with DC United. And on the overlap here, nice touch towards that byline. The pullback is just wide. And it was a decent attempt there. Thomas Williamson unable to finish the nice move down that left side.
But against a 3-back, that's the area that you want to try to get into, that wide space. When the outside back gets forward, Samake making that run, and then this little individual effort, plays the ball back to Williamson, just can't quite get his hips around that. But that's a space that you've got to be happy in if you're Loudon, that you're able to expose there.
Nicely done there by Samake to get that extra touch beyond Vayasia. Free kick, one there in the center of the park. Strong challenge in from Daniel Chica. Local player given an opportunity. Through at Tuscarora High and the Virginia Development Academy. We're playing college at George Mason. Very much DMV born and bred. Here's Zawadzki. Play it up towards Mo Farsi, who we highlighted in the pre-match. Played more minutes than any other Columbus Crew player this season. Comes out for a throw as Samake had nowhere to put it. Farsi, who came through the Columbus Crew, well, its next pro side, Columbus Crew 2. Here's Yaboa into the area. His driven cross comes through that 6-yard box, and it needed a convincing clearance there from Chica. Yaboa on the follow, sneaks it in at the near post, and Columbus Crew hit the front in the first 6 minutes of this Open Cup tie.
And that's what Columbus Crew wants to do. They want to score early. You want to try to bring out Loudoun United, who has the home field advantage coming in. Started really well, but it was just a great finish there.
As a goal to his credit in the league. And now this finish, it's a great low-driven ball as well. It's Washington who dealt with that ball initially, and then just a little bit of a gap in that bottom corner, and Hugo Farot might be lamenting that. Great strike, though, from the Ghanaian. It's Columbus who hit the front. Mountain to climb now for Loudoun United. Yaboa continues his run. He could be in again. This ball forward into the area and towards Arfston. Just a bit too close to the goalkeeper, but See the initiative and the creativity here from Columbus early doors, particularly down that left.
And you made mention of it. They really hadn't come into the defending final third for Loudon, and it was great defending on that initial cross, but you can just see Yeboah only needs that half yard of space to get something going, and really that one opportunity he puts away, and that's the difference.
Just to start that, Wilfried Nancy would have wanted. Did commit ahead of Columbus's first Open Cup game to really giving it a go in this competition as the offside flag is up against Thomas Williamson. And with no VAR, it does come up straight away. Fernandez saying ahead of the tournament, we want to be limitless. We want to compete in this Open Cup. There is certainly a knowledge that if you keep going, you've got more games to play. There are 2 midweek fixtures coming up in MLS for Columbus. And if they progress all the way to the quarterfinal stage, they'll tack on 3 more. It'll be busy, but plenty of opportunities for the playing squad. More chances for more players to make an impression.
And he talked about wanting to keep the roster a little bit smaller. He likes that competitive piece. He likes the ability to have those rotations, and that it really takes someone who understands managing minutes, managing the mental toll, the physical toll. All of that can be really difficult, but that was something that he was hyper-focused on when we spoke to him.
And Yeboah finding Farsi, who's in behind. The flag has stayed down. Farsi pulled down, and that could be a potential red card here. There it is, straight red for Gasu Samake, and a bad start made even worse as it's a last man challenge from Samake, and he gets his marching orders.
And I'm not surprised by this. A great first touch, Samake coming from behind, and he really just gets tripped up. I don't think there's any intent in that, but the problem is he's in behind there going towards goal, last defender. I think it makes sense to show the red card in that moment.
It'll be a free kick right on the edge of the area, but this could be a long night for Loudoun United now. Fans could have come expecting this side to potentially pull off the upset. USL side's decent at home in this competition against MLS sides, but not down to 10 men.
And it's unfortunate that it happened that way because Farsi didn't have it under control. It was still bouncing. Could Samake have come inside a little bit more and just tried to cut the angle, but they got tangled up there. So not only does that happen, but you're already down a goal. If this is 0-0, maybe not as big of a deal because you can go into a low block, but this is going to be a tough one.
And Samake will go straight down the tunnel. The unfortunate thing from his standpoint is he created the best chance of the game so far for Loudoun United, making the run down that left, and now how will Ryan Martin adjust? Mo Farsi, by the way, on the wrong end of that challenge, and he stayed down and requiring medical attention.
When you mentioned about Samake getting forward, one of the big areas that Loudon can take advantage of is that space to the side of all the center backs that Columbus Crew does have, but you need your outside backs to do it. That might have to fall on the shoulders of a El Medkar, an Armanakis, or even are you looking now for more set piece opportunities, things like that to get back in the game.
Well, and I think the difficulty as well will be Columbus normally so good with the ball.
Right.
You give them a man advantage, and I imagine they'll be keeping lots of possession here. But if Farsi is unable to continue, that will certainly be a concern for Wilfried Nancy and Columbus Crew. As you mentioned, he's been an ever-present, started in each and every one of their league matches. Starting here in the Cup. A couple of home games coming up for Columbus. Orlando City at the weekend before LA Galaxy next Wednesday night. So games coming thick and fast here. Farsi now back up to his feet. I believe be allowed to stay on despite the treatment. Now, goal could come quickly here. Free kick from a couple yards outside the penalty area. A couple players over, Ramirez and Parente. Could be Yeboah as well. It will be Yeboah to hit over the wall, and it smashes into the crossbar. Quinton tried to keep it alive, And still, Ramirez, the back heel flick, unable to come off. But what a hit that was from Yeboah. Only the woodwork to deny. And now Loudon trying to hit on the break. As you mentioned, Casey, that will be one of the chances that Loudon will have, but unable to control it there, Williamson.
And I guess the bit of consolation is at least that foul from Samake was outside the box, and it came close anyways to being a goal. But the last thing you would want is for that to be in the penalty area and have the red card happen. But they came very close to doubling their lead on that hit from him.
What a strike it was. Yeboah off to a strong start to this one. Now the deliberate build-up here is Quinton nearly giving away. A second bite at it. Vallecia. Only the left of the three. Naturally left-footed player. The play slightly out of position. Amundsen. Valente. Having his heels snapped at there by Chica. Here's Farsi. Won the red off of Samake and draws some jeers from the crowd, but really couldn't have any complaints with that decision. Yeboah. Starting the brightest of the Columbus players. Nice touches there from Thomas Roberts, who's brought up from the MLS Next Pro side Crew 2 for this one. And a challenge from Zawadzki. Whether Amundsen does result in the free kick.
And Loudon is going back into that 4-4-1, right, which is going to make it very hard to penetrate. So you expect to see a lot of patience from the Columbus Crew just trying to keep the ball. But when Landry draws a foul there, that helps at least for Loudon to be able to just try to establish a little bit more possession and slow the game down.
Mo Farsi will bend it in towards Ramirez's run started from an offside position. Will be a free kick here to Loudoun United. Did have so much anticipation for this one. Ryan Martin telling us that he did want to give it a go. Didn't want to sit back. Didn't want to absorb pressure. Wanted to play like they normally do. But difficult to maintain that tactic down to 10 men.
And that's what's unfortunate about this is that they have to go a little further back. Can they still pick moments to be aggressive? Of course, but the entire tactic of being able to play them a little bit higher up the field and try to make the back line uncomfortable of the Crew, it just kind of goes out the window now with the red card.
Landry. Played it in behind and towards Zach Ryan, but able to get onto that. Ryan now, as you mentioned, moving into that wide position. Adjustment required now. Loudon find themselves down to 10. Yeboah. Valente tried to start his run bending. So he wasn't in an offside position and did so successfully. Zawadzki and Thomas Roberts looked like he was in a striking position. Plays it out to Mo Farsi. Continues to draw a few boos from this Loudon crowd. Vallecia in towards the area, but Ramirez unable to control. Amundsen well forward from left center back. Yeboah now drifting inside. It's a nice run again. Yeboah pulled down, but the referee says no. It was a dangerous challenge there after Yeboah got the beating of Koa Santos. Spared there by the referee, Loudoun United.
I'm not convinced that wasn't a penalty on that one, but either way, Yeboah just really asserting himself very early in this game. I like the way he's just getting his head down, trying to go in the 1v1, and it draws players out when a player can do that in the wide area.
Continuing to find space, Yeboah, his cross just takes a nick there off of Bryce Washington. Now Farsi. Edge of the area, Thomas Roberts. Clip it in, but nobody there. Now Armanakis. Just trying to find that exit ball. He's giving it away. Ramirez, though, tried to take it on the first time. He was off balance and didn't catch it cleanly. He drags a brilliant chance wide.
It was a clever ball there in behind, just being able to take advantage. Chica wasn't stepping as quickly as the rest of the back line for Loudon. It's a really good opportunity and great vision from the midfielder. Just when this ball's cleared out, just able to get on it right away, plays that little ball in behind, just pulls it wide just a little bit, but you gotta like the way that Arston and Ramirez are linking up.
Chance gone begging there, but Columbus continuing to push for more. Pull back Ramirez, and in the way there was Santos. On the first time hit, oh, what a volley it is! A sumptuous hit from Sean Zawadzki. And Columbus are off and running here. There probably won't be any catching them. They're up by 2 goals, and they're up a man against Loudoun United.
And it all comes from all of that pressure, whipping balls into the box, just challenges there. Loudon just not being able to clear, and that's been the biggest issue the last few minutes since they have gone down a man. It's first chance opportunities, second chance opportunities, that unfortunate bounce off Landry, but look at the strike off the left foot of Zawadzki. Makes no mistake about this one, and there's nothing that Farreau can do. There's so many players in front, his vision had to be impeded on that one.
Zawadzki, a player who is a homegrown, came through the Crew Academy. It does look like Loudoun United are now going to make a change. Aiden Rocha has come on. And it's Panos Armanakis who makes way. So Ryan Martin trying to persist, keeping his best attackers on the field, but after being pinned in, no longer a sustainable strategy. So Aiden Rocha will come on and seemingly go straight to that left back area as Rocha tries to get the break going quickly. So Loudon making a substitution in the 19th minute would not be the outcome that Armanakis would have wanted. Big night, big occasion. As in behind and coming well off his line there is Evan Bush, and 37-year-old playing a bit of sweeper keeper. See Loudon now getting numbers high. Try and press here.
I think the substitution, though, with Armanakis coming out, it kind of doesn't seem quite normal because they do need some attacking presence, and Armanakis loves to attack, but with Rocha coming in, it does really well at just getting on the ball, establishing a little bit more possession. So not only maybe a defensive change as he plays more holding, but also someone who can really try to dictate play a little bit more in there.
And an incident-packed early 20 minutes here at Segra Field. Columbus leading by 2 goals to 0. Open the scoring very quickly through Yaboa in the 6th minute. Gasu Samake sent off for a denial of a goal-scoring opportunity. Last man challenge. Now Columbus are really going forward here. Vallecia. This might be an ideal scenario for Wilfred Nance. Game of the weekend, plenty of games to come. And you might be on your way to a comfortable Open Cup night away from home against a lower division side. These can be cagey, these can be difficult, but not proving so far tonight.
Well, it's a whole different story if it's 0-0, but the ability to score early and really on minimum chances now just allows the Crew to be able to be really patient, keep the ball. At some point in the game, Loudon's going to have to try to push for something, but when that happens, inevitably gaps are going to open up.
Back there by Amundsen, taking a step forward yet again. Plays as a left center back, but you can see him drifting well forward. Those reminded the position that Kamal Miller would occupy for Nancy's Montreal. Given the change in system, the Columbus manager has had to adjust the position of a few players. A few have been up for it. At times, Nancy as well preferring the younger player to the experienced player. No doubt part of his pedigree as an academy manager. That big switch hit out to the left side. Yeboah taking down well and trying to hit. He is playing full of confidence, but that effort dragged wide.
Well, it's coming in different ways, too. You've seen where he's gotten it to feet and gone in the 1v1 there. Just a little bit of flair with the change of point from the crew. Just, he is definitely a player that has impacted this game very early. I love the way he tries to go at players every time he has the ball.
And now a goal kick to come here for Loudoun United. Do have to resume a league campaign of their own. El Paso away at the weekend. But this was such a big night. First time ever against MLS opposition. You've gone on a good cup run so far. Flower City Union 5-0 in the third round. North Carolina FC in the second round. See, Loudoun intent on taking their set pieces quickly. El Medcar felt like he was caught. The fans felt like he was caught. We play on. These fans certainly having their opinions heard, particularly after that red card offenses. Ramirez has timed his run well. He's onside. Ramirez trying to find Parente! And Columbus could make this a tennis score before long. It's already 3-0 in the opening 24 minutes. And Columbus Crew will likely be comfortably into the 5th round of the Cup.
And there's just so much variety in the attack from the crew. This time going in over the top with the ball. Then that ball played across first time to Parente. Ramirez, just great vision. This is taken quite well right when it bounces down and hits the turf, able to make contact. There's really nothing that Loudon can do. They had a higher line there, and the crew figured out how to penetrate.
And so calm in possession. Give the crew those sorts of spaces, and will find their way through. Wilfred Nance getting a chance to coach some of the younger players, some of the players in the team that don't start every week. We have 3 players in the side tonight that have not started in MLS. Actually, I beg your pardon, 5 in total. They include Parente and Arvston, Roberts, Amundsen, and Bush. All of them have yet to play. Sean Zawatsky started just the one time. So you have a few players that are getting integrated into the style of play and going to run out here tonight against United, and what a disappointment for the fans that came out dreaming cup set dreams. They've been dashed very quickly here. So it's clip into the area again. Quinton and Yeboah. Another cross in towards Ramirez, but well read and well claimed there by Farot.
And I think something that's really interesting with the crew, too, is Wilfred Nance talked to us about how he gave a couple days off, just really to allow them mentally and physically to recover and just to come into this game with a lot of excitement. And I think besides the first 2 or 3 minutes where Loudon looked to be more of the aggressor, it's only 25 minutes in, and they look hungry to go forward and also cerebral in how they choose to do it. Is it north-south? Is it more east to west? They've done a little bit of everything here in the first part of the game.
Well, one of the hallmarks this Columbus side is wanting players to absorb pressure before playing around those challenges. If we're not inviting his players to play with bravery and patience on the ball, as Vallecilla does there. Finds Amundsen out of it. And then you're looking at 5v5 going forward. Yeboah, Ramirez, Amundsen taking a step forward. See all 10 outfield players for Columbus in the Loudon half. Yeboah. And Ramirez, nice interchange. Parente into the area yet again. And a 4th for Columbus. Parente at the double. And this is shaping up to be a long night for Loudoun United. Their first ever match against MLS opposition sees them 4-0 down after 27 minutes. Dragged into that bottom corner there by Isaiah Parente. What a night for the homegrown player. Santos. Columbus will continue to try and press forward here. It's a free kick given. Contact behind the play.
And the last two goals that were scored against Loudon, really, you could see Loudoun United trying to step higher up the field, but it just leaves so much space exposed in behind. You'd have to think now with the score the way it is, like, what do they want out of the game? Do they want us to try and sit in and try to minimize that? Are they going to continue pushing forward? And I think we'll kind of see over the next few minutes what they'll look to do. But if they do continue to push forward, they're going to have to be aware of that space behind. Does Ferreau play a little higher? How are they going to manage that if they're going to push higher up the field?
And for Isaiah Parente, his first goals at senior level for Columbus Crew after signing as a homegrown. He's a key figure for Crew 2, 9 goals and 6 assists in 20 appearances for the side that won MLS Next Pro a year ago. Getting a chance to impress here in the Cup. As Columbus Crew can come forward here through Yeboah. As the overlap available, plays in towards Amundsen. Loudon escaping there. We haven't even had a half hour. 4-0 down here at Segra Field. Columbus, who did have this past weekend off, so perhaps that could be a reasoning behind their fresh and energetic start to this game. One of the hallmarks that we've seen, Casey, though, of some of these sides in the Open Cup, particularly the ones that make a lot of changes, it's difficult to get off to a strong start when you're making 7 or 8 lineup changes, but Columbus have had no such problem.
It is difficult when you're doing that, and it's impressive how they have come together here in this first 30 minutes, how they're connecting on the ball. But, I mean, it can't be understated how big of a difference having that red card is. I mean, yes, they had a goal prior to it, but you'd almost just say, let Farsi get in on that one, because now you're looking at it where there's just so many gaps open. But still, the way that Columbus Crew is connecting, they're not bad goals. They're really well thought out goals, really good in possession, great timing of runs, and very clinical finishes.
Yeboah, again, continuing down that touchline. Santos put in the challenge. And I do believe it will be a free kick to the Crew. It's headed away. Now Farsi to take down. Columbus making much easier work of this round than the last. We're 0-0 for more than 80 minutes with the USL side. Indy 11 at lower.com field. In the end, emerging victorious through a goal from Mo Farsi, who is the subject of this switch. Hit there by Amundsen. Trying to marshal it out of play, but unable to do so there was Rocha. He's emerged, though, with a nice forward touch. Look like some of the fans are only just getting settled in their seats. They might be stunned when they looked at the scoreboard. Hugo Ferreau came through the academies of Cannes and Monaco. applying his trade in the U.S. since last year with Charleston Battery. It's away for a throw into Columbus.
And it's just extremely hard for them to play out of the back under pressure. Crew likes to press really high, but when you're down a player, although they're trying to be brave, they're trying to be good in possession, there's something to gain out of that. It's really difficult to get out of your defensive half with the amount of pressure that the front runners do put on the back line.
Here's Yeboah. And now playing it in towards Amundsen, making that overlapping run forward, and let's come out for the corner. Amundsen to play the corner in towards that near post. Glances through the area, but unable to find target there from the set piece. Be a goal kick to Loudon. If you're Ryan Martin, how would you try and go about finding a solution here, or what's the approach over this last hour? You're 4-0 down. You're probably not coming back. Is it damage limitation at this point?
I think to a degree it is, and you've got to be thinking about what can you gain from this. And if you get into halftime, really resetting the brain, what are we looking for in the second half? How can we improve out of this situation? The score line is obviously not in a place they want it to be, but more can be gained from this. Not many times you have opportunities to play against MLS competition for them, so I think just refocusing what they can gain and how they can continue to move forward will be important.
Trying to play out from the back, but ball from Furrow overhit and out for a throw.
And to that point, do they continue to try to build up against the immense pressure and just say, hey, this is part of our identity, we're going to do it even though we don't have that extra player? Or do they change it up a little bit and go a little bit more direct? I'll be interested to see what really approach he decides to take in the second half.
You can see Columbus playing around in the back, and the chance is on there for Zach Ryan. And the leading goal scorer for Loudoun United has his effort saved there by Evan Bush. And that certainly was a route for the consolation goal. Columbus nearly architected their own downfall there. Man, it looked like the goal was gaping, but Ryan unable to finish clinically. First time flick it behind Ramirez, could be in for 5. Ramirez! And just as Loudoun United had a great chance down the other end, punished by Christian Ramirez, who puts Columbus 5-0 up after 35 minutes.
And that's so disheartening for Loudon to have that opportunity. But look at this secondary run from Christian Ramirez. And then he just gains that little bit of half space with that fake, that little bit of deception right before he decides to strike it. Santos goes for it. What a great finish to the back post. But what's impressive to me about that is just the way the two front runners are working off one another to find opportunities.
Nice passing in that forward line. Ramirez getting the 5th. Fourth goal scorer of this game for Columbus. Parente has the brace. And now Columbus could be in again. Ramirez. Arvston, the overlap of Mo Farsi. Dispossessed there by Rocha. Able to fully clear lines. Vallecilla. Roberts. Not exactly what the Loudon fans would have been hoping for when coming out to the stadium, as Roberts has a go. And forces a save there out of Furrow, who will claim. Now Yeboah has won it back. Ramirez available. And the strike on there from Arvston forces a great save from Furrow. who's only just managed to keep this at 5. And it will be a goal kick now for Loudoun United, but Columbus twice finding openings after going 5-0 up, but unable to finish them off. And not that it ultimately would have determined the outcome, but that strike from Zach Ryan makes the game 4-1, and maybe Loudon can find some footing in the game, but since that miss, it's looked like a bit of a lost cause as Ramirez is trying to clip forward there up towards Arvson, but unable to get there ahead of Farrow.
Well, it happened so quickly after that opportunity from Ryan, too, so it just is even that much more disheartening when that does occur. And I think something we're seeing, too, with Loudon, it's very industrious. They're wanting to defend. They're wanting to put pressure on. But really, just staying more compact when they're in the defending third will serve them better because they're just allowing gaps open.
Nicely done, though, by Williams. His low cross into the 6-yard area, and Evan Bush has done just about enough. Loudon again creating a decent chance. You have to say in this first half, they've had 3 of them, unable to make any of them tell.
Well, and that's the area that they should be pressing. When there's moments back there that there's a lot of patience being shown by the crew, pressing and chasing up top is something that they can really be rewarded for. It's in the back that they might need to show a little bit more patience, but really good there from them to be able to generate that opportunity off the pressing.
Loudoun United down to 10 after the red card by Gasu Samake. Loudon nearly winning it back, but it will be a free kick. On down there is Bryce Washington. I do believe he's won Loudoun United a free kick. If you're doing this on the should have scored scale, it could be 7-3 in favor of Columbus.
That's a fair statement. That's how clinical Columbus has been.
Yeah.
It's almost like every opportunity they've gotten, besides that last save from Farrow, they've been clinical with and really executed well.
As Washington back up to his feet, former Atlanta United player, homegrown. Largely played with the 2s over the course of 18 months at the club. On the turn there, Landry. Washington. And now Loudon trying to play out from the back as Columbus will press forward. Yeboah. Continuing his very strong performance, the Ghanaian. In a variety of roles now in this Nancy system. Here's Roberts. Farsi to his right. Get back there with Amundsen. Now Farsi into the area. The quick passes, the strike coming in. Karam's out here to Roberts. Tell just by the noise that Farsi is on the ball. Still drawing some ire from the supporters after Farsi won the red card. I must say, it's not anything that Farsi did or even that the challenge happened on him. It was just his positioning ahead of the defensive line. Gasu Samake pulling him to the ground. Yeboah. Vallecilla. Columbus Crew still keeping the lion's share of possession. Trying to pass their way through, work their patterns.
But I think that's better from Loudoun United because they're able to stay in a little bit more. Crew show a little bit of patience, but then eventually they want to try to find that penetrating ball through the gaps. That one, it just goes all the way through to Farrow. That's kind of that patience you want to see a little bit more from the collective defending.
One of the things we spoke to Wilfred Nance about was attempting to find solutions against a low block. We found some tonight. Been some fairly sizable gaps with Loudon down to 10. But last time out against Inter Miami, Miami defended deep for large portions, struck a couple times on the break, and won at lower.com field. Listen, 3 in the league. Certainly not any crisis, but it's a chance for Wilfred Nance to find more solutions. Work with his team a bit more, as he's been able to do for the last 9 days. Yeboah getting the beating of Santos for pace. The cutback, though, leaves it behind. Garay over to help win it. Chica. And again. Looked like Loudon were on their way in their first ever edition of the Open Cup. Joining USL Championship in 2019, but purely as an affiliate of DC United of Major League Soccer. But the sale, the club to a majority owner, now able to play in this competition. Forge their own identity. Trying to connect more with the community as well. No doubt part of the mission. The new owner, Greg Baroni, also owns the Bowie Bay Sox of AA baseball. Vallecilla, as we approach halftime. The end of what's been a dispiriting opening 45 for Loudon. Parente. Playing that ball in behind towards Yeboah, got turned. Dispossessed there. El Medkar. Just the 1 minute to be added at the end of this first half. Parente has done well to win it back. Ball on there from Zawatsky. It's a bit off. Chica. Santos. The challenge in there from Melda Amundsen. It's his first run out here for the Crew. After arriving from NYCFC, eventually found to be surplus to requirements as the halftime whistle sounds, and Columbus Crew are comfortably in front here after Yeboah opened the scoring. Mo Farsi pulled down by Gasu Samake. Loudon would go down to 10, and Columbus Crew would very quickly start to find some openings. Sawatsky, Parente brace, and Ramirez the goals as Columbus Crew now lead by 5-0 for Loudon United, their first ever Open Cup match against MLS opposition, and it has not gone the way they would have hoped. Columbus 5-0 up at the break over Loudon. Loudoun United on a big night at Segra Field. They were hoping that they would get the cup set, USL over MLS, but Loudon down to 10 men and now find themselves 5-0 down at home to Columbus Crew. We take you through the other games even going on throughout the Open Cup. That will come in a second. We'll get to the first half highlights here, and the chances will get started. Yaya Bo whipping it through the area. And the danger was temporarily averted, but Yabo would eventually find the finish into the corner.
And it's a lot of these second chance opportunities that would be undone by the defending of Loudon, but then just a great finishing there. This would be the changing moment. Samake just caught on the wrong side of Farsi, getting tripped up right there. The red card would come, and that really impacted this entire first half.
And Mo Farsi would go down and would draw the ire of the supporters, but there is no doubt that's a straight red card. Ramirez nearly adding a second, and it would come for Sawatsky. Have a bit of that.
It's a great strike from the top of the box. Look, just things starting to go wrong, clearing off of Landry, but they just made the most of it, the Columbus Crew, when they would have those second chance opportunities. Then another way to attack, finding the space in behind the back line. Look at the vision from Ramirez, just setting up Parente for the one-time finish.
And it is a very nice finish indeed. His first senior goal for Columbus Crew. And a nice moment for him. And then the fourth would come, Parente coming in off that left side and finishing into that bottom corner. Nice interchange there, edge of the area. Ramirez and eventually Parente cutting inside and getting it beyond Farreau for the fourth. And nice night out for Isaiah Parente in his first start of the campaign. And then around the corner, finding Ramirez. Teases the first time and then finds the bottom corner with a plum.
And the wide areas have been really good for the Columbus Crew. Lots of build-up play, and then you can just see that little bit of deception, just creating a yard of space to get the shot off, and it's a great finish.
And those stats make for grim reading. Although, to be fair, Loudon before the first goal went in had a decent chance on the pullback to Thomas Williamson. Zach Ryan missed a sitter, frankly, with the positioning of Columbus Crew, and they had 2 or 3 chances in that first half, Loudon.
They really did, and they started off strong, but a lot of those, that first goal and then the red card really changed things and just weren't really able to create much out of that. 56% of the possession going to Columbus Crew.
And we can now take a look at the results from yesterday. Just the one upset in terms of USL beating MLS. Pittsburgh Riverhounds going away from home and beating New England Revolution. We nearly had it Monterey Bay as LAFC fielded very much a reserve side, but they eventually would go on to win on penalties. Here the game's going on tonight, still scoreless between Cincinnati and NYCFC. Other games kick off in the 8 o'clock hour. Birmingham and Memphis secure another USL side into the next round. The late kickoffs feature LA Galaxy home with Seattle Sounders and Real Salt Lake home with Portland Timbers. And now Columbus are gonna bring on some changes. Double change in Keegan Hughes and Jason Russell-Rowe coming on. And it also looks like Abdul Zain will come on. And so we'll get confirmation of those full substitutions in a moment, but it's Hughes and Russell-Rowe on for Wilfried Nance's side at the break. I can imagine the players that would come off are the ones that don't feature every week in the league, or rather feature more often in the league. You look at Christian Ramirez, who plays a fair bit. Mo Farsi, talked about starting each and every league match so far in this campaign. Will be among the players that make way over the course of the second 45 minutes. Our referee, Luis Diego Arroyo, getting us started. And we'll see what Loudon can do, even if it's just to limit the damage in these second 45 minutes. Columbus rampant in that first half and trying to continue here as we are underway in these second 45 minutes. And straight away, Yeboah trying to get forward. Attempting to find Parente, who is on a hat trick. It does also look like Jimmy Madranda came on for Columbus as well, so a triple change at the break. And there he is on the ball. Viacia among those that make way. And there you see, just getting back up to his feet, there's Zawadsky. So it's a triple change in the end. Off for Columbus, Viacia, Farsi, and Yeboah on Madranda, Hughes, and Russell Rowe. So the changes beginning, and as I mentioned, they are players who do feature relatively often. And it is Husu Landry who makes way for Abdul Zane for the second change. For Ryan Martin, had to bring off Panos Armenakis in the first half after going down to 10 men, which is the no doubt story of this game. Referee allowing play to continue. Parente on there for Madranda.
I think it makes sense for the Columbus Crew especially to make changes just to try to get players played in, get some minutes and things like that that Wilfred Nance talked about.
Now in behind there from Roberts, trying to play it on the second time. And eventually away there from Chica. As it's lofted in behind, and a chance for Thomas Williamson to stretch his legs. Fortunately been starved of it. As here's Zane. And Rocha. A rare moment where we actually get to see Loudoun United building up with the ball. Very much had to play in transition and quickly out of the press of Columbus, and just like that, they've won it back.
And if they do start to possess a little bit more, they're going to have to figure out when they do lose the ball, how do they get back into their defending shape quickly? It might be a little bit different from the first half if they're able to possess more, but that doesn't mean gaps won't be opened up, just if they are having any turnovers there, especially in the midfield third.
Philip Quinton. Nice 1-2 attempted there as Arvston will play it out the other side, but just as managed to win the corner for Columbus Crew. Max Arvston, who's yet to start a league match. Was the 14th pick in the Super Draft. Actually, a decent run in MLS Next Pro last year. Was draft eligible at the end of the year as it swung into the area. Plenty of numbers on the edge of that 6-yard box, and it was a free header. It's just gone wide of target there, and it was a decent attempt from Alda Amundsen, trying to find his first Columbus Crew goal. Amundsen, a player comfortable getting forward at his previous stop in New York City. An NYCFC side that really knew how to play in their home baseball fields at Citi Field and at Yankee Stadium. Comfortable in forward areas, but NYCFC always looking for new talents, and one did appear at left back. So comfortable trading him to Columbus when they lost Will Sands to an injury, torn ACL. A young player coming through with the Crew, 22-year-old brother of James Sands, also of NYCFC, out for the year. Amundsen among the players that will help to fill the void. Saw Yeboah play that left wing back position today, and he did so spectacularly. So Loudon can come forward. Zane feed it in behind in towards Zach Ryan, but the deflection comes kindly for Evan Bush.
And when Loudoun United doesn't have the ball, they have gone into more of a five back, where Zane will go back in and Almedkar at times will go back in. But when they've gotten the ball, they're using those wingbacks to get forward a little bit more. I was kind of wondering, are they going to sit back? Are they going to continue to go forward? And it looks like they're at least trying to win possession and counterattack quickly.
Certainly an opportunity for Ryan Martin, the Loudon manager, to experiment. 5-0 down, but just don't want to see it get that much worse. Amundsen.
And you don't really see that five back if they're higher up the field, but when they're in this mid-block, they really go into that, and it just allows for gaps to be a little bit tighter across that back line. We saw in the first half where a little bit of that was exposed because there was only 4 back there, so just something to kind of change that narrative for the second half.
A chance to also match system for system. As Columbus also playing with wing backs as play continues down this right. Flicking through the traffic there, Arfston. Good for 9 goals and 6 assists for San Jose Earthquakes 2. MLS Next Pro last year. Amundsen. See patient build up. Part of the game plan for Columbus Crew. Times Wilfried Nancy thought his side was actually playing too quickly in the opening matches of the year. He's a coach that it's about getting his ideas across to players, getting them to buy in. It feels like he's working his way towards that. Certainly breakout performances like the one they had against Atlanta United when they hit for 6. 8 in that effort. Columbus on an interesting arc in the last few years. Won the league in 2020. Although never actually won a game away from home the entire season. The abbreviated 2023 campaign. Columbus fortunate enough to not only win a majority of their home games regular season play, but hosted every game of the MLS Cup playoffs. In the bizarre COVID season. Been on a decline ever since last year, losing out on a playoff spot on the final day against Orlando City. That saw the demise of Caleb Porter. Tim Bezbachenko in the hierarchy at Columbus, turning to Wilfried Nancy. Interesting to go after a coach within the league under contract with another club, but working a deal with CF Montreal to bring him in. Changing up the philosophy. One of the hallmarks of that is last season, Columbus starting on the opening day with an average age of 29 in their playing squad. On the opening day, it was 23. This year, a few stalwarts in Lucasela Rayan and Darlington Nagbe and Cucho Hernandez, but more young players coming through. Their success at MLS Next Pro level, no surprise. Loudon, meanwhile, among the clubs that were struggling towards the end the 2 days in USL Championship. Clubs that were affiliated with MLS sides would field very young sides, academy-based sides, and found it difficult against experienced pros of the league. But this year, going about life in USL in a different way. Still a young group of players with professional experience or recent college graduates. More in the age range to compete at USL level. Table in the East. There's an opportunity here to get forward into the area for Max Arfston, but just losing out at the vital moment.
And it's much better defending from Loudon, like we talked about them matching up systems. There's just natural cover in the wide areas now, and that really allows them to match up and not allow the build-up play that we saw from Yeboah in the first half when he was in there and the outside backs getting forward. There was this natural overload happening. So that's going to make Wilfried Nancy's team really just have to figure out other ways to penetrate a stingy back line.
Medranda. Flick on attempted there from Parente and nearly came off there for Ramirez. Booted away. Showed you at the break, the other games going on. You get to have a goal in the 2 games that have kicked off elsewhere. Cincinnati 0, NYCFC 0. Birmingham Legion 0, Memphis 901 0. That game only kicked off 10 minutes ago. Far away from starts in Houston and in Nashville. Houston entertaining Sporting Kansas City. Nashville home with Dallas. Austin play host to USL side New Mexico United at 9 p.m. Eastern, and then games late Portland RSL. LA Galaxy and Seattle Sounders will close out the night as the offside flag is up there against Thomas Williamson. supporters have certainly gotten on board with having to go at the referee tonight. It was a refereeing decision that changed the game, but you can have no questions about the accuracy of the decision of Luis Diego Arroyo, as Russell Rowe has played in behind into the penalty area. His clip is in towards the back post. Nobody there, the initial hit, but Medranda now with a chance. Parente on a hat trick. Sawatsky on a brace. Now just a bit of a reset of possession here. Keegan Hughes. Max Arfston. Columbus just passing it around. Pull this out inside that are down a man apart. Amundsen attempted to get towards the byline, does manage to get it clipped into the penalty area. Arfston to control. Arfston to have a hit. Just didn't catch it cleanly. And always going wide there of Hugo Furro's goal.
And that's something that the crew's going to have to do, figure out patience versus speed of play versus outplaying in the 1v1. They're just going in the wide areas in the 1v1 is what really allows that opportunity to happen. But how do you mix and make decisions of those three things? When do you play quick? When do you play slow? And when do you have to be creative on your own? Those are some ways to break this down, but it's definitely harder against the 5-back that they're set up in now.
It's gone down to one knee as Bryce Washington, and looking frustrated, smashing the turf with his left hand. Wouldn't want to come off in this scenario, but I think he's signaling to the medical staff that today might be done as Ryan Martin looks on. I think he's received the sub signal. And now we'll direct towards his bench. Introduction. I believe it'll be Abdul Kawanda who will come on. See, there isn't anything in that particular action from Washington that would have led to him coming off with an injury, but not a concern for Ryan Martin heading back into league play at the weekend. So it will be Abdul Kawanda to come on, the Ivorian. 4 players from the Ivory Coast in this Loudon side. Samake among them. He was the player who got sent off. 10th minute of the game. We round out the field for the round of 16 tonight in the Open Cup. Free kick given. This for the first challenge before Parente was caught. Free kick coming to Loudon United. Had 8 teams punch their ticket last night as it's bent in behind in towards Williamson, and Evan Bush coming flying off his line there to claim.
Loudon's just trying to find anything they can to try to find an opportunity forward. I think set pieces are their best friend, trying to find it quickly right there. It's a good idea, but Columbus Crew is just alert to anything that's really happening going forward. And when you don't have more than one player running at the back line, it's pretty easy to handle overall.
Philip Quitten and Medranda. Time player with Sporting Kansas City. Let's bounce around a few other sides. A nice tricky move down that right side, but the low ball in. Unable to be found there by El Medcar. Certainly doesn't, creating a bit of danger. El Medcar with a nice cameo there. Long there from Furro, and the danger temporarily averted there by Columbus Crew. Lovely bit of skill though from El Medcar.
You can see what he can do. There's a lot of flair in his game, and that's what's unfortunate about what happened is they're not able to get forward as much, so you're not seeing that flair from him quite as often, or from Zach Ryan being able to get forward as well. Also,
Rowe trying to get him behind. He is onside. He's pulled down there by Chica, but the referee waves play to continue. Also, Rowe, to be fairly even appeal for it. Now, again, a chance for Loudon to break, and they've got numbers as well. El Medkar trying to find Ryan on the back post. Controlled temporarily there by Keegan Hughes, and eventually lines cleared by Quinton. As the offside flag will come up against Ramirez. It will be a free kick to Loudoun United. See, with plenty of numbers forward still.
What's impressive about what they're doing, too, in the back line, players are playing in not even secondary positions, really, but positions they're not normally in.
Zane will pull it back through the area. Williamson unable to control. And taking his time over there was Amundsen, but just about managing to get rid. Russell Rowe helping Columbus get numbers forward. Arston in behind him for Ramirez. He's got a goal to his credit tonight. He's challenged off it. Goes down away from the playing surface, and referee unmoved. Does look like we'll have another change in Jake Morris being ready for Columbus. Nice skill again, this time from Chica. Fans still providing the oohs and the ahs and the soundtrack of this one.
And that's kind of nice as a player, because the game isn't going the way Loudoun United wants, of course, that goes without saying, but to have the fans engaged and continuing to applaud what is going on and the improvements that have been made and their willingness to play out is nice to see.
First ball from Ramirez to find Arvston. He'll clip it into the back post. Russell Rowe arriving, his header comes through the 6-yard box, but ultimately not providing a real threat to Hugo Farrow. And now the change will come. It will be Amundsen who will make way. Now to Amundsen will leave for the introduction of Jake Morris. Joined from Seattle Sounders. His brother Aiden is in the Columbus side as well. Actually available from the bench, but given the regular first-team football he gets, can't imagine he'll be coming on tonight. Aiden Morris, who actually picked up some minutes with the U.S. men's national team this year. Their January camps, and part of the squad that played Mexico. Came off the bench and actually impacted things quite a bit in that friendly in Phoenix. Here's Quinton. Jake Morris actually arriving from the setup at Seattle Sounders. His brother Aiden was coming through here in Columbus. As free kick given. There's Morris, actually the culprit there. And he's actually just come onto the pitch and just received a yellow card.
Medkar's just a handful, though. He just gets in there defensively, just gets his body in front, draws that foul. But you have to kind of wonder, you know, you had El Medkar, who played 90 last weekend, a game coming up. Like, these are players that are playing a lot of minutes. See that defensive work there. And he's just on the wrong side, Jake Morris, when he comes back and makes the foul happen. But, you know, you've still got Zach Ryan in there, who's played a lot of minutes. Santos in the back as well. So you wonder if there are going to be some substitutions coming looking ahead.
Yeah, it would normally be the MLS side that would be thinking about that, but Loudon certainly with the league campaign to contend with, they would have put everything into this game and preparing for it and trying to win it. Had a game plan and sometimes just gets thrown out the window. Is Zane unable to control on that switch the first time? Zane, though, trying to strike towards that near post, and Evan Bush had to go down just to make sure. But ultimately the wrong side of that near post.
And he's done really well ever since he's come in. He had a really good outing against Indy 11 this past weekend, but he's done well in that wing-back position, not only defensively, but has created some problems going forward.
Arfson. Nice step there from Zane. Keegan Hughes playing in the right of that back three. Quinton continues to anchor it, and Jake Morris on the other side for the Crew. Trying to see out these final 45 minutes for fully turning their attention to the weekend and game against conference rivals Orlando City, who went out of the Open Cup yesterday, the holders. I don't know, pressed to win it back, and had the chance there through Williamson, but well done there by Arfson. So there, Columbus showing no problem with playing a square ball through their own area. Columbus would be the 9th team to advance to the next round of the Open Cup. After last night, 8 teams progressed. Inter Miami in Charleston Battery by a 0-0, knocking out a very strong USL side, top of the East in the championship. Charlotte knocking out the holders Orlando City by a 0-0. Pittsburgh Riverhounds, right now the only USL team through, knocking New England out away from home. The Revs out of the competition. The Atlantic Cup, Red Bulls and DC United with a first win in the managerial reign of Troy Lesane, taking over for Gerhard Struber, as well for Frank Klopas. He had his 3rd stint in charge of Chicago. Gets it off to a 2-1 win over St. Louis, as Parente, with a chance to get forward, would probably want to try and find a hat trick here. First senior goals tonight, one out of first senior hat trick. See the 3 remaining substitutes available to Wilfred Nancy, just staying warm in case they're required. Ramirez trying to get round. And eventually cleared and out for the throw.
And that's Zach Ryan going all the way back and doing that work. I mean, he works so hard on all sides of the ball. In most games, he's doing it a little bit higher up the field against the back line, but doing a lot of work there coming back to help the back 5.
Thomas Roberts. Plenty of space here, Morris. Finding Medranda. Sprinting over to Medranda to provide the passing option, but instead Parente trying to flick it back. To come for Russell Rowe. And Medranda in the area. Will be a free kick. Medranda, the Colombian, frustrated with that decision, but go the way of Loudon United. The other 3 teams that confirmed their place in the next round last night. Minnesota United, at the end of a bunkers game, 2-0 up in regulation, give up an equalizer in the final minute of the 90. 3-2 up in extra time, give up an equalizer in the 120th minute, but eventually winning on penalties. Arfson. Nicely on there. See the patterns there in the build-up. Roberts with a nice pass to emerge from the pressure. Just to round out the teams that go through, LAFC at the expense of Monterey Bay, the USL Championship side, and actually at a certain point might have thought of Monterey Bay as the favorites, despite the fact they're facing the MLS champions and CONCACAF Champions League finalists. LAFC very much taking an LAFC 2 type of team to Monterey Bay, but winning on penalties. The idea there from Roberts, but that touch just a bit heavy. Now Quinton is one-on-one here with Thomas Williamson, who can control, but needs to find that next pass. El Medkar coming forward, but just couldn't poke it beyond Jake Morris. He's off Morris and out for the throw. Now we'll have a change. Will be the final one. Noah Fuson will enter. He's brought up on a short-term loan from Columbus Crew 2 just ahead of this game. Come on. So both players brought up from Crew 2. One starts, one comes off the bench. Ramirez comes off after getting his goal. So nice moment for Noah Fuson here to make an impact in these final 20 minutes. Columbus very much downing tools a little bit in this second half just to see out this game, but try not to concede any goals. And so appeals there for a back pass, but it's just a touch there off of Quinton. Not quite playing with that same level of intensity, the Crew. They're comfortably in front.
Well, I think there's been a balance of Loudon United's definitely not gone for certain runs in behind. They've kind of let runs go and just stayed connected, which has helped. But also the speed of play just isn't quite as intentional, quite as urgent from the Crew in this second half. So that combination really, I think, is made for the second half that we've seen.
Russell Rowe attempting the pullback. Takes a deflection, and now El Medkar trying to control by the corner. Medranda and Russell Rowe trying to put the challenges in. Will be a throw in favor of Loudon. Now double changes being welcomed on. It will be Thomas Williamson to exit for the entrance of Wesley Leggett and Zach Ryan. As you mentioned, Casey, you have league games to come up, and imagine the top scorer will be one of the first players to come off if you are throwing in the towel.
Definitely, and there's something to be gained from them getting a lot of minutes and being able to play against really high-level competition, but at some point, you do have to think ahead, and I think these subs make complete sense, and you get other players to come in, stay in form as well. Wesley Leggett's been a big player for Loudon United, and so he'll be able to come in and get a bit of a run as well.
So, Juan Ramirez, the Colombian, and Wesley Leggett, 22-year-old from New Jersey, will come on. So both teams using the 5 changes available to them. As Hughes will do enough to keep it, but the challenge nicely in there from Chico certainly put himself about. Imagine Ryan Martin wouldn't mind the second half clean sheet, given the position they found themselves in at the break.
Well, as a manager, that's something you can talk about with your team as well. Here's what we did, here's what we adapted. Obviously, we got to figure out some things from the first half, and so you can use that to your advantage. Yes, of course, the Crew have been able to take their foot off the gas a little bit, but a lot of really good stuff has still been done by Loudon and how they've adjusted.
Cross coming in from Arfston. Russell Rowe trying to track it, but it's headed away. And trying to start the break there was Leggett. But the Crew recovering possession. Hughes on for Arfston. And Fuson. Miranda controlling here for Parente. Sharp one-touch passing there. Now Quinton. And Arfston clipping it into the area. Russell Rowe nodding it down, and Fuson's strike is awkward. Didn't quite catch it. It's stuck in the ground, and Columbus recycling through. Medranda will have a crack. Certainly can have a hit with that left boot, but going straight out of play. As we enter the final quarter of an hour, Columbus finding a bulk of their goals early in this game. Yeboah opened the scoring in the 6th minute. And then the big moment in the game, see on the top corner of your screen, Simake red carded. And the goals flew in quickly. Zawadzki in the 18th, Parente in the 24th and 27th, Ramirez in the 36th to give Columbus their present 5-goal advantage. They will await the results of the draw tomorrow.
And it wasn't necessarily that first goal they gave up, but those 3 coming so quickly within 9 minutes makes a big difference. It was almost as if Loudon couldn't figure out how to adjust from an aggressive defending style to, after that red card happened, how do they right the ship, how do they steady in, and the Crew took absolute advantage of that.
The 2023 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup ramps up over the coming weeks as the tournament's trophy comes into view. As I mentioned, tomorrow afternoon, watch as the winning clubs face their fate in the round of 16 draw. See all the exciting matchups as they're made on the BR app or BR Football's YouTube channel at 2 p.m. Eastern. As tomorrow afternoon, the draw will occur. This was a regional draw, as is customary in the Open Cup. Columbus, one of the MLS sides, entering into the 3rd round. Indy 11 out in the 3rd round. Although a bit more dramatic than tonight. Here's Hughes. Arfson in behind there for Russell Rowe. In the beating there of Chica, but his touch a bit heavy. Chica just clearing lines. There's plenty of space to put it into, and trying to harry, trying to get something there was Wesley Leggett, but able to get right side there of Philip Quinton. Crew center back dealing with the danger.
Wesley Leggett's a hard one to deal with as well. Got a lot of pace and just very opportunistic player, but Quinton does well, just gets his body right in front, because otherwise there would have been a lot of space to take advantage of.
Max Arfson, an attacking player who started tonight, who did not find a goal in that flurry in the first half. Miranda, away there from Coa Santos. Columbus just enjoying the ball here. Controlling the game with their possession. Parente making the run, trying to get the cross in as well. The block in and away for a corner. Crew with 64% of possession. 16 shots to 4. 7 shots on target to 2. We have some goals going in elsewhere as the corner will get flicked to the back post here. Arfson in the penalty area. Low pullback, trying the first time strike there. Morris nearly came there for Russell Rowe, who couldn't control at the vital moment.
And those were the type of things that in the first half the Crew were finishing, just really, really sharp inside the box, whether it was a first chance, second chance, or even a third chance opportunity. It was clinical, and just there are some moments here where maybe a goal or two could have gone in, but Loudon's made it a little harder, and that lack of sharpness has been a factor.
Hughes. Columbus continue to keep numbers forward. News of a goal in Cincinnati. Brandon Vasquez opening the scoring for FCC over NYCFC. Parente giving it away. Now can Leggett strike on the break? Too much time over that forward ball there, El Medcar. And Loudon will just go again. And also the other goal The Open Cup tonight coming in Birmingham as Birmingham Legion lead Memphis 901 by a goal to nil. Juan Agudelo on the score sheet for Birmingham. Here's Arfson. And plenty of chances to run it. Zane unable to find that ball in towards Roberts. Wilfried Nancy still coaching, still giving instructions to his players. Fans, you can dive deeper into the thrills and drama of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Join the conversation on Twitter and Instagram at Open Cup and on Facebook at Official Open Cup. The Crew 5-0 up here at Segra Field, Loudoun County, Virginia. First ever match for Loudon against MLS opposition. It's not gone the way they would have hoped. Arfson runs into the challenge there of Ramirez, and now Loudon just trying to get going forward. Leggett again trying to get the beating of Philip Quinton for pace, but never going to. A strong, imposing figure of the 6'6" center back. There's a free kick given. Keegan Hughes felled there by Ramirez. As Columbus getting forward down this right. Fuson. Hughes. And Fuson, nice first-time ball in behind, in towards Arfson, who's free in the area. His pullback comes through, and Russell Rowe again unable to catch it cleanly. Just sort of caroms off him. Now for the goal kick.
That was actually really well done by the Crew in their build-up. The spaces are getting tighter and tighter. In the first half, that half space in front of the back line, the Crew was able to try to find, and they were able to play off of each other there. But now it's really tight, so they had to figure out another way to get into the wide space, and it was a really good combination play.
You hear some of the fans starting to head for the exits. And it would be a night for Loudon to make an impression and show the growth that they've made in this season, but unfortunately some of those fans might be going home. The negative impression was not the best night for Loudon, but it was really the red card that changed everything. Loudon created a little bit in that first half, even down to 10 men. In case you've seen them throughout this season, they have their qualities. They can certainly get forward well and score goals. They have a couple of dynamic attacking players, and one imagines when getting back into league play that they'll be just fine. Yeah,
I don't expect it to put them in a bad space by any means. One thing they're really good at is their pressing from the front, which you're seeing here.
As Hughes gives it away, chance for El Medkar goes down, and the referee has given a penalty. Could be a late consolation goal here for Loudoun United. Decision after some deliberation given against Jake Morris, and a chance for Loudon from the spot.
And just as we were talking about the pressing, they press here really high, and El Medkar is just really smart. Sees that pressure coming over his right shoulder, gets his body in front, uses the momentum to draw the penalty kick.
And Luis Diego Arroyo took his time to give it, but he has given it. A chance now for Loudon from the spot to put a blemish on this evening for Columbus Crew, so dominant throughout. But El Medkar will have the chance to convert his penalty, already scored in the Open Cup. El Medkar to score against MLS opposition, sends Bush the wrong way, and there is the consolation goal for Loudoun United. The fans have something to celebrate at the end of a lopsided defeat, but it is Loudon 1, Columbus 5.
If you're Loudoun United, you've got to be happy about this. El Medkar steps up, just makes no mistake about it, opens up its hips, just sends him the opposite way as Bush dives to his right. A really good finish. And I think for the second half, to not have conceded a goal so far with less than 5 minutes left to play, and then to be able to get a goal on the other end, like we talked about, they can take that into their next games and just try to reestablish their playing and their principles of play going into league play.
And a nice moment for the supporters that stayed. And a nice surge of noise through the ground as well, just as some fans were starting to leave. A goal. And as we were talking about messages, the way that you try and spin it to your team, and say, well, right now we've won the second half. Fuson trying to change that with Russell Rowe. 5-1 down. You brought the flares, you might as well set them off.
If you're Ryan Martin, I think you're happy too that Almedkar is getting another goal, just keeping him in form and just keeping his confidence up. So not only just a message you give to your team, but to individual players that are going to be so important for you throughout the USL Championship.
I think fans and broadcasters alike trying to see through the smoke. And Medranda, I think, is throwing his hands up saying, I can't even see my teammates. Got to let this clear out a little bit.
It's kind of exciting, though. It's kind of nice.
You know.
A little different viewpoint.
A little bit of Open Cup fun on a Wednesday night. The magic of the cup. So, referee just taking the ball and holding it here. Nothing like the magic of the Open Cup. Game interrupted by a flare. And now this space starting to almost literally open up for Columbus to see. Nearly an attacking pattern coming together. Must have been some flare. You do see flares set off across MLS after goals are scored, and they very rarely interrupt the match. It's not like this is a closed stadium either. I wonder what fireworks store those supporters went to. I need a recommendation for the 4th of July. Jake Morris. He did concede the penalty. Nice first touch there from Medranda, and now a chance for Columbus. Perhaps get a sixth here. Into the air, or rather edge of the area. Russell Rowe towards goal, and again dispossessed there by Chica. And it will come out for the corner.
And I think in that last moment, you kind of see the hard part of what Loudon's doing. They're pressing high, which they got rewarded for the penalty kick with the pressing high. But when you do that, you leave gaps. And that's been kind of the story of the game today, and another opportunity for the crew.
As the corner gets swung into the penalty area, away there from the substitute Rocha, who came in early in the first half. Parente. Go the full 90. An interchange there with Medranda. Scored 2 goals in the first half. His first goals for Columbus Crew first team. Into the area. On the volley, it's a great hit as well from Keegan Hughes. And a nice save to remember this night for Hugo Ferro. That was hit with venom. Morris.
The 4th official has indicated there will be a minimum of 1 minute.
And just the 1 minute at the end of the 90. Hughes nearly had Columbus's 6th there. On the overlap, trying to get the sliding cross away, could nearly arrive there for Russell Rowe. Now Quinton being harried there, shoving the back as well from Leggett. And Quinton going down, and a yellow being shown to Wesley Leggett. Just trying to, again, one-on-one. I think Quinton is waving on medical attention towards his right ankle. sort of a bit of an awkward landing, wasn't it?
It was just a lot of pressure from Leggett there, and just the way they got their feet tangled up. I mean, definitely a foul. It's just strange how they got tangled, and Quentin ended up on the worst side of that.
I think now players having to be separated as well as Sané and Leggett talking to there, and this would not be something that Wilfried Nancy would want to see. Last minute of the game, and a player who he will rely upon in league play. Issues in defense for this Crew side with injuries, and lose a number here. Playing in a back three, particularly with the game so obviously out of hand. Quentin has stayed down. Now perhaps a selection dilemma for the weekend for Nancy. Could be one of the players you've seen tonight, Amundsen or Hughes or Jake Morris, could be required at the weekend.
And it just looked like he got stepped on really awkwardly there right at the end, and you almost, as if he's able to get up, just say, hey, get off the field. We're winding things down here, but hopefully it's nothing worse than just that awkward something on his calf or behind him that, you know, he got stepped on there from Leggett.
Still kind of hobbling, favoring that right ankle. And I imagine the artificial surface plays a little bit of a role in that as well. See how much help Quentin will need to get off here. Looks like he will come off under his own power. And Leggett will come over to apologize, but doesn't seem like Quentin is terribly interested. Quentin, who does have a role to play in the league, the super draft pick out of Notre Dame. Came through the ex-pro side and has been relied upon by Wilfried Nancy. Started 5 games in the league and come on as a substitute twice out of the 10 Columbus matches in MLS. He'll just come off here, and that was the last involvement of the game. There's the full-time whistle. Columbus comfortably beat 10-man Loudoun United. They scored the game's first goal, and then Asu Samake sent off for a last-man challenge at Mo Farsi, and then Columbus were off and running. A brace from Isaiah Parente, goals for Yaboa, Zawadzki, and Ramirez. And Columbus Crew have knocked Loudoun United out of this competition by 5-1.
And if you're the Crew, you're happy with this result. You got a lot of players in. There was some real sharpness in the way they finished. And if you're Loudon, you got that consolation goal at the end, which is nice and can really move into the weekend, just having a better second half.
As we now get into the full-time highlights of this one. And the early exchanges, the no doubt important ones. Here would be the game's first goal. Yaboa was such a threat in the early portions of this one, doing well to drive a ball low into that 6-yard area, but then taking advantage of the poor clearance and smashing into the near post.
And that's not what you want early in the game, is just giving an opportunity, not only a first opportunity, but a second opportunity, and being beat at the near post. That really changed things, because Loudon started quickly, but this was the moment that actually changed everything, was the foul from Samake, showing the red card. Farsi was getting in on the backside, behind the back line, and this would put Loudon down to 10 men.
Yeah, Farsi was in behind, and only one decision, and then Farsi would get involved in the search for the second. The strike there from Ramirez block will come for Sean Zawadzki, and pick that out. What a hit there from the Columbus midfielder.
And this goal came just 8 minutes after the red card, so this really changed things again, just extended the lead. And just in the second half, it would get a little bit better for Loudon, better defensively, also pressing from the front. Medkar would get his body in front and draw the foul on Jake Morris. This one, a penalty is awarded, and it really is a reward for the way they were playing in the second half and pressing high.
And Khalil Medkar would take the penalty with which he won, and would put it into that bottom right corner and give Loudon the consolation goal. We didn't show you 3 Columbus goals, all of them coming in the first half, all coming before 36 minutes were on the clock. And Columbus with their 67% possession, 20 shots to 5, 8 on target to 3. Comfortably through to the 5th round.
And as expected, more possession even in the second half as Loudon went into that 5 back and just started to concede some of that space.
They will await their fate in the draw tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, on the platforms of Bleacher Report. But tonight, it is Columbus Crew who are dominant, beating Loudoun United by 5 goals to 1. Up a man and taking advantage. 4 different goal scorers. A brace for Isaiah Parente, his first goals for the club at senior level. Loudon getting the consolation as it finishes Loudon 1, Columbus 5 in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. For our tremendous production team and for KCY, my name is Chris Whittingham, signing off.